Well, thank you all, and welcome. I'm really pleased that so many people have come out to hear about our situation now and to talk about some constructive opportunities for us. What can we do to make things better for us here in East Cleveland, even facing the imminent issue of receivership that we have? I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Yogi Berra, baseball player, once said, "When you see a fork in the road, take it." Now, he was being funny, but quite frankly, we are at the fork in the road right now. Which way are we going to go here in the city of East Cleveland? Even though, we're facing this receivership, we frankly shouldn't be surprised. Honestly, I was a little surprised to hear that in the past 36 years that we've been in some form of financial distress for the past 30 years. 30 out of 36 years. And that's not to point a finger at anyone or any organization, but to say that we've been in trouble for a long time. And we have to recognize it is what it is and get out of it, right? Aren't we ready to move on and take on more? As far back as 2015, I saw today something from 2015 saying that East Cleveland, even in bankruptcy, could never get out of the situation that it's in. That's why those talks about annexation began to take place. Imagine that. 10, 11 years ago, they said that East Cleveland, even in bankruptcy, could not get out of the hole that it was in, that the only option was annexation. Well, we know that that didn't happen, right? And we are still here. We've survived. We can celebrate that, but we also need to look for solutions to move forward. I want to say to you that receivership, in my opinion, is not the end of the world. It's not. It's always darkest before the dawn, just to be, the coin of phrase. But remember what this really means before we and other members of the city go into full panic mode. I don't think that it calls for that right now. Number one, what does receivership mean? It means that the state auditor's office, the courts, will appoint someone, a third-party person, not someone from East Cleveland, not someone from, Cleveland, but a third-party person from outside of our area to take a hard look at our finances, to take a look at our books. They will consult with local officials, and I want you to hear that. Consult with local officials to take action on their own to reduce costs, raise revenue, and get a balanced budget. I don't think that's altogether terrible. That sounds to me an awful lot like what we were supposed to do for ourselves under the supervision of the Fiscal Oversight Commission, and it didn't happen, so they're moving in the next direction. What does raising revenue mean? Maybe it is, reorganizing some of our services through any number of ways. Maybe that's even regionalizing some of our services. Enforcing housing codes and other things that will garner income for us and also raise the way that our city looks. And lastly, to collect taxes. I'm sure I heard on TV this morning that Cuyahoga County will be selling off some of their tax debt, some of the property tax debt from across the county in order to raise money for themselves. That will impact us as well. And so we need to figure out ways that we will get our taxes and that we can also protect our citizens, right? It will also ensure that the government is following an approved financial plan. Work with local officials to create one and or take responsibilities to submit a plan to the commission overseeing the local government. Doesn't that sound an awful like our 5-year recovery plan? All right, so in other words, they're going to make sure that we have a 5-year recovery plan and that we follow it. That doesn't sound awful to me. That doesn't sound like loss of municipal control. That doesn't sound to me like the mayor and council will no longer have a role. In fact, we will have a role. We will continue to conduct the business of the city, and council will continue to create laws and legislate on behalf of our citizens here. In addition, they will share monthly written progress reports with, with the commission and with the public, and they will hold quarterly meetings with the public to share progress. I think that sounds it's gonna be hard work, it's not going to be easy, but that's not the end of the world to me. That's not daunting to me. That's what we should be doing in the first place. That is transparency, that's accountability. That's what we need in our city. I'm thoroughly convinced, and maybe I'm just an eternal optimist, but I'm convinced that we can work our way out of this. We can do this, and with the state's help, we will do this. They're not here to take over East Cleveland. What exactly would they do with our city if they did? I mean, let's think about that at face value. What would they do if they took over the city? They can't do anything with our city. So again, I don't think it's the end of the world. It is not meant to dissolve local government. It is not going to take over our city. Receivership means, quite frankly, tighter financial oversight. Period. So, when we found out about this, I reached out to a former colleague and a friend, the mayor of Maple Heights, Annette Blackwell. Now, their city has also faced significant financial liabilities and stress as well. They were in fiscal oversight, fiscal emergency, like us. Here's the difference. They got out of it. They worked their way out of it. They came up with creative solutions. They worked with the state of Ohio. I was assured that Keith Faber was more than supportive and helpful in helping them to get out. And now, what is the bottom line? In 4 short years, maybe 5, I can't remember, they are on solid ground. They are fiscally solid. They have investment in their cities. They have new restaurants and new housing starts and all kinds of things going on, all of the stuff that we aspire to. And so I asked if she would come and share some of her insights and thoughts about this, and help to kind of ease our minds, because I think that honestly, I think that we're panicking, and we don't need to be. Instead of panicking, what I think we need to do is sit down with the state of Ohio and work out the rules of engagement. Because one of the things that will happen is that there will be conversations around what will happen and what won't happen, what the rules of engagement will be with the city of East Cleveland. And we need to be active participants, all of us. The community, leadership, council, everyone needs to sit down with the state of Ohio and figure out what the rules of engagement for our city will be, and then proceed onward. At any rate, I'm gonna ask my friend and colleague, Mayor Annette Blackwell, to come forward and share a few comments with you.
But I want to tell you who I am. I'm not just here because I'm the mayor of Maple Heights. That's the invitation, but this is my community. I grew up on Thornhill Drive, 738 Thornhill Drive. I go to Heights Mayor Baptist Church, 12618 Shaw. That is my pastor every single Sunday. For 2 years, I taught at Shaw High School in adult education program. 12 years working for the, working for the President and Chief Medical Officer of University Hospitals. So I taught for 2 years the medical terminology class. Ms. Goolsby, remember her, right? So I taught at Shaw High School adult education program. I'm a product of this community. Now I lived on the Cleveland side, down the street from the Tar Butters. But my best friend lived on the East Cleveland side, across on 10 stories. So I am a product of this community. Now my zip code was 108, yours is 112. But we know that's just a few streets away, right? So I'm not this person way out in the suburbs that has no idea what this community is like, because this community shaped me and grew me into the person that stands here before you today. Does that make you feel a little bit better? So, I'm going to get into a little bit Maple Heights Fiscal Emergency and Recovery. What does that mean? Let me just tell you our story. I became the mayor in 2016, but in 2014, I do want to acknowledge my police chief Todd Hansen, who's here. So while I was a citizen, like you, in 2014, had ran for council in 13, but I lost. So I had moved on, went back to work, and said, politics is not for me. The city was placing fiscal watch. That says, you better watch yourself. Things are getting a little bit tight. And we know that in our own small businesses, in our own personal budgets. And so with no improvement, a year later, guess what happened? We were in fiscal emergency. So I ran for mayor in 2015 knowing we were in fiscal emergency. People thought I should have some kind of examination. I'm a woman of faith. And I have spent years working in corporate America. I spent 16 years working at Deloitte & Touche, which is an international tax firm, and I worked in property tax, worked in all 88 counties. I truly believe working in corporate America and having a significant tax background and a business background might be something that I could do. And the mayor at the time, when I told him I was thinking about running, says, if you're not gonna move, you need to run. Because we need, some people call it a change agent, but in my case it was a change captain. You are the agents, you need a change captain. So I'm not here to do politics. I was told that I was in a political position. If I came here tonight, I am not in a political position, I'm in a servant position. Well, whatever he calls me to serve, I'm gonna show up. I may bring Todd Hansen with, just in case it may be a little crazy, but I'm in a servant position, not in a political position. So in 2015, we were in fiscal emergency, and I took office January 1st of 2016. $3 million, not a huge number, but $3 million in debt. And we were told that I had 5 years to get out of it. But not to worry, because most places don't get out of fiscal emergency in 5 years. Most likely it would be renewed. It was impossible to do, it was difficult to do, and don't be frustrated. And so what they did to help us is what they're going to do here. At the time, the auditor was David Yost, not Keith Faber. And Yost sent a group of financial supervisors, and I think Bart Ty Smith is still the person in charge. I started off with a guy named Quentin Potter, then it was Barb Ty Smith. And so there was a commission assembled, a few residents, and we were specific about choosing the residents that may have a financial background, so they could lend the most help, the most expertise to this commission. Myself, the council president, put together a pretty impressive team. And for 4 years, we worked hard to figure out what the challenges were. It began with me looking, it's fund accounting. I'm not sure what the accounting system here is, but it's fund accounting. It's having a fund for every expense that you have. I had a fund for office supplies, a fund for continuing education. The police has a budget. The fire department has a budget. And the first thing I did was to make sure they understood their budget. So if they sent a purchase order and said, I need $5,000, we had something called blanket POs. That means you know what the charge is going to be on the blanket PO. But look at your balance. I charge them. It's not just the mayor's job. Each of them have little budgets. Chief Hansen knows his budget. He knows how much he has in continuing education. He knows how much he has in professional services. And so you have to empower the people around you. I looked at every line item, and what I found, we were spending almost $500,000 in the law department. With a city of 25,000 people, why did I need $500,000 almost in the law department? And so I began department by department looking at where the excess was. We had a law director, a prosecutor, assistant prosecutor, paralegal, for lack of a better word, and we were outsourcing our collective bargaining agreements. That's a lot. So I'm not getting into specifics, but you have to take that kind of laser focus at your budget. So there's good news. 5-year recovery plan, I did it in 4. I don't say that unrealistically because your number is so much bigger than what mine was. But the process the steps you must take, the help you must identify, and the commitment that those people who work with the mayor in this community to do that have to be committed. You have been small business owners. Some of you filed personal bankruptcy. Some of you lost housing foreclosure or businesses closed. Start over. You go back to square one. You look at what you did wrong and you revise. And you have to utilize the experts that come from Columbus. They came once a month. And when they come, you have to be prepared to share what you think, because they're going to lean on you. Please understand this. They're not coming with answers. They're not coming with answers. They're coming with recommendations and support, but they want the answers from you. No one can tell them about East Cleveland the way you can tell them about East Cleveland. You can tell them that you've got a significant amount of delinquent taxes, because you do. You have the largest amount of delinquent taxes in the county, and there's 59 communities. That's right. We have an annual resource fair to help people get on payment plans. Who is your income tax collection? We have a partner with Regional Income Tax. They collect the income tax. There's forgiveness on penalties so that give people incentive to pay their taxes. There's so many things to do, and I'm not here to lay them all out, but I'm here to share with you. There's a way, there's best practice, there are proven methodologies, but you have to be willing to be in partnership with who Columbus sends. Now, this is a new rule, and we know it just took effect on Tuesday for receivership. But it's not a punishment as much as it's a message. The message is East Cleveland cannot continue to stay in a place of fiscal emergency. They're challenging you. They're challenging you to tell you, they're sending you a last warning. Like if your car, you don't pay your car out for 5 months, they send you notice and say, if you don't pay this car, we're going to repossess, right? This is a warning, but it's a strong warning, because they warned you before. And this is next step. You don't have a choice anymore to take your time, to squabble about it, to think it over, to challenge the charge. And charge is, we're taking to the next level to get your attention. This is a last chance agreement. If you're in HR, you get a last chance agreement. You must organize. You must commit to making the hard choices, critically looking at your budget. I mean, every expense. We were trading paper clips. You got some paper clips? What's this in ordering 10 boxes of paper clips? She's got a whole box in her closet. Seriously, I'm being silly, but on purpose. What are the excess? What are the expenses? It may require furlough. Maybe you work 4 days a week. I don't know what that is for you, but I will tell you this. I'm not here just to give a speech. I'm here to make myself available, because this was my community, and that's my pastor, and this is his friend, and he's reached out to me to be a resource. And so, when I did it in 4 years, they told me I wasn't done, because COVID was coming. There was no way. And so I had to prove, going over the numbers over and over again, because they want to make sure you don't go back, that we indeed were. The 5-year recovery plan, I personally wrote it. I'm not the finance director, but I personally wrote it. Do you know why? Because I'm the one that has to deliver. I'm the visionary. That's the visionary. That's the visionary. Now you can help me, but I have to pull it from, this is a ministry, this is a job. I have to pull it from what God gave me. I had to believe that He would deliver me. So I sat on my family room and I wrote it. Never been a finance director before, but took all of my business skills and what I had done since I'd been in office for 3 years of how we could change it. I was my own economic development manager, because we couldn't afford an economic development manager. I was the finance or economic development. I cleaned bathrooms, you name it, I did it. There are no roles and titles when you're trying to finish something. My pastor builds he'll fix the floor. How many times has he bought whatever's needed for this church out of his own pocket? The things that we will do. So I do understand that East Cleveland has been placed in receivership, which is a step beyond where I was. I said, well, it's not the same thing. It may not be the same thing, but you don't get a receivership achieving fiscal emergency. Am I right?
Right.
You don't get a receivership unless you get a fiscal emergency.
Right.
That's how you got here. So I will tell you this, that simply put, how you do this, you have to increase revenue and reduce debt. You want to simplify it? You have to increase revenue and reduce debt. And that's every single expenditure that you have. Look at it.
Yeah.
Assess it. Is it necessary? It may be a program that you may have to suspend and bring back later once you prove your ability to manage your own budget. How do we do that? I had to implement practices and systems for an effective financial accounting. I could show them in our financial accounting system. I had checks and balances to make sure when we made appropriations, we documented appropriately. The funds, there were never fund going into the negative. If someone put a PO, and they didn't have enough money, I rejected it. There's gonna be some no's, a lot of no's. You may not be popular, but it's no. We don't have the money. And you have to make sure you're consistent. So what I can speak to, you must maintain positive fund balances. All fund balances must be positive. You've got to look at employee compensation. I got rid of a broker because the broker was giving us a 25% or double-digit increases every year. I said no more. Last year had 0 increases. I changed brokers. I said what I needed, he couldn't give me what I needed, I changed brokers. You have to shop around to make sure you get something you can afford. Not because it's always been my broker, because they'd always been the mid-price broker, but I couldn't sustain double-digit increases for the premiums for my employees. Collective bargaining agreements. Get somebody that knows what they can do, that can successfully negotiate with the unions. Something that's fair, because you do have the challenge of recruitment and retention. With this lateral transfers, we're switching offices back and forth. I've got one of yours. Garfield Heights got 2 of mine. Mm-hmm. So how do you recruit and retain? You need a really good HR person to help you understand what that is. Researching all available grant funding. Finding the people, not just that you know, our engineer writes probably 75% of our grants, but the police department writes their own grants. The fire department's got $20,000 grant for some new radios. Everybody, find out what their talent, and use everybody's talents. You're not outsourcing and using so many consultants. Understand what your income tax collection is, where the void is. Why aren't you collecting? That's your biggest source of revenue, because more than half goes to school, parks, and senior services out of the property tax, and you have a significant property tax allowance. Find out to your settlement negotiations. You got a lot of suits. I hear that you have an attorney that's pretty talented, is working on settlements. And maybe you have to pay them over time, but make the promise and demonstrate in that recovery plan that there's a plan to settle these suits. You have to do an assessment and then check the qualifications of those around you. Whether we like the Browns or not, there's a certain amount of talent you need to win games. I think the Guardians are doing that, right? You gotta have the talent to win games. You can't win a game if you're Guardians and you can't catch a ball. If you can't hit a home run. It's not personal, it's business. Maybe your friend, they may have been 20 years, but if they can't balance a budget, they may not be the best person in your finance department. If they can't screen employees, that's not your HR person. You have to make a really strong, best practice decision about who's the best person to join your team. You're looking for championships. You're looking for wins. Pick the people that know how to play their position and do it well. Lastly, while this news is difficult to receive, I believe that you must acknowledge, as I've heard a lot of things, and I'm not here to get into any confrontation, or you guys like to say, why, who was she? Who do you think? I don't want to hear that. You're going to say what you want to say, but I want you to know this. You have to get over what you think and deal with the facts.
That's all. It's been a fiscal emergency for way too long. For a very, very long. People aren't coming here. If this, I put a ribbon with a new business open today.
There you go.
A new business. Used to be a former Rite Aid at Libby and Northfield. It's Archwell. It's a primary care physician. It's like what they've done at Walgreens. If you can't give them an ROI, return on their investment, they're not coming here. They can't make payroll because you don't have enough people walking through the door. The service department can't pave the pothole. If First Energy, whoever you can't fix the light that's out in front of their business. If service department doesn't shovel snow so they can get to the business, they're not coming here. Because you can't guarantee a ROI. Who sends money in a checking account or a savings account or CD if there's no interest? It's the same business model. This is business. This is not a nonprofit. This isn't your family reunion fund. I believe this is a $12 million business. So it takes a different level of expertise. You're here because over the years you haven't figured it out. That's not to be rude or unkind, because the players have changed. Some of you weren't even here. Some have moved on, got new people here. But you can get this done. Because the end of this is if you don't, they will figure out a way to chop up East Cleveland. Some will go to Cleveland, some will go to Cleveland Heights. Yeah. I will also say this, my Metro Parks belongs to, my city park, my biggest city park, we had a 99-year lease with Metro Parks for $1.
All right.
I have a brand new pavilion, I have park rangers, I got new grills, I have new trash cans, recycling, they cut the grass, and where my service department is taking to is a huge park. It is the best park in the city because it's a metro park. All the expenses belong to the metro park. Last time I heard, they ended up being one of the best park systems in the nation. You gotta think about things that may be foreign to you, but it's best for you moving beyond this designation. The designation is not a definition of who you are.
Right.
God bless.
Thank you so much. I'm really very happy and so honored and glad that Mayor Blackwell came and spoke with us and shared her experiences, but also shared, quite honestly, the hard-boiled, honest truth. You know, we are in a tough spot right now, but we can get out of it. But we have to get out of it, and we can't point fingers at each other and say who did what when and why did you do that and how come you didn't do this. That's not going to help us in any way. And quite honestly, I did a little research. I looked around. Washington, D.C. went into receivership. They're doing all right. New York City went into receivership. Detroit went into bankruptcy. A couple of other cities, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania went into receivership, and they had $400 million in debt. 65 million to 70 million sounds small in comparison, doesn't it? Right? And if they can get out of this and they can work their way through, then I have no doubt that East Cleveland can do it. But to her point, we must do this as a community. Yes. We have to do it together. We have to pull up our socks and sit down, sharpen our pencils, and work together in order to make this happen. We cannot just put our heads in the sand. We can't argue and fuss and fight and say, it's your fault or it's your fault, somebody's fault. Who cares? We've got to look forward, and let's look forward and work together. But I do believe we must engage with the state of Ohio, because if we choose to ignore them, well, you see what ignoring the state of Ohio and not following suggestions has resulted in. You see where we are now, right? So, my only thing is it's go time. That's all there is to it. It's go time. Let's figure this out. Let's work with them. Let's determine with them the rules of engagement so that they don't, because if we do not engage with the state of Ohio, they will tell us what we're going to do. They will dictate to us what we're going to do, as opposed to us sitting down and working it out together. And I think that that's a more preferable place to be. It also opens the door for us for funds. We have no credit in the city of East Cleveland. Let's face the facts. If East Cleveland was an individual, our credit rating would be horrible, right? It would be terrible. We would be, as we are, working on a cash basis. We couldn't get a credit card when the Fiscal Oversight Commission required that everyone hand in their credit cards and that we apply for one card that would be used by the finance department. They refused to give us one. All right, we could not, as a municipality, get a credit card. That's very sad, in my opinion. I think that's ridiculous, right? All right, so let's consider that we are in a very, very vulnerable position right now. Let's again create the rules of engagement with the state of Ohio necessary in order to get started and move forward. Let's get this 5-year recovery plan moving so that we have guidelines to work from. This is our opportunity to get money from the state of Ohio, because I can tell you that we were not going to get a nickel from the state of Ohio just based on past practices, right? We weren't getting anything. So now we're in a position to get funds from the state of Ohio. Number two, we are in a position now to go outside and say to organizations or to other funders, you can trust us now because we have the backing of the state of Ohio. The state of Ohio has our back, and they're working with us. They're not going to let us fall unless we put ourselves in that position, but they're not going to let us fall. You can trust that we will be good stewards of this money because we have these checks and balances all around us. I'm going to challenge all of us to work hard. I'm inspired by Mayor Blackwell and the fact that she was able to pull her city out of fiscal emergency in 4 years instead of 5. And that she's kind of and that ambitious. All the forces. Why can't we do that? We can do it too, and I think that all working together, we will get there. This is potentially dangerous, but I'm going to open the floor to questions. And as much as I can answer, I will. And when the mayor is finished, then she may come back. I do want to acknowledge, however, our county council member, Michael Hauser, is here with us. And I appreciate your input too. And I know that State Representative Juanita Brent said that she would be here as well as soon as she can today. She's got some other appointments to attend. But these are people who are showing solidarity with our city. They're showing solidarity and support for our city. They're not here, again, they're not pointing fingers. They're not rallying against the state. They're not talking about conspiracy theories. They're saying, you know what, let's go. Let's make some moves. Let's figure this out so that we can move forward. I'm sorry, and also, don't remember, we have 3 council members here. Juan Billings, it's a full house. How do you like that? All of our council members, King Austin, Cherry Richardson, Pat Blahoviak. Where's Twan Billings? Okay, Twan Billings is here. All of our council members are here tonight. I think that speaks volumes as well. This is an important topic. I know this felt a bit more like a pep talk than anything, but you know what? I want you all to know, I want our citizens to know that this is not the end of the world. This is, if anything, this is the beginning of a new East Cleveland, right? Right? Get to work and get this done. We're not going to fall apart over this. If we fall apart over this, then who are we? We are not the community that we thought we were. Let's get ourselves together. Let's band together. Let's everyone bring their strengths and talents to the table, and let's get out of receivership, out of financial difficulty, and once again help our city thrive. Thank you. I want to give a special thank you to Pastor Small for allowing us to come into this beautiful church and facility, and also doing it so quickly.